For the Nurse 447 Issue and Solution voiceover PowerPoint presentation, I have chosen the topic of elderly abuse. Defining elderly abuse. Elderly abuse is a widespread legal and ethical issue that directly impacts nurses as well as all other healthcare professionals. Elder abuse is defined as an intentional act or failure to act that causes or creates a risk of harm to an older adult. An older adult is someone who is age 60 or older. Abuse occurs at the hands of a caregiver or a person that the elder trusts. And there are 6 frequently recognized types of elder abuse. What is elder abuse? This graphic depicts some of the various types of elder abuse that are commonly seen that we will explore further on the next slide. There are 6 different recognized types of elder abuse. Physical occurs when an elder experiences illness, pain, or an injury as a result of the intentional use of physical force and includes acts such as hitting, kicking, pushing, slapping, and burning. Sexual. This involves forced or unwanted sexual interaction of any kind with an older adult. This may include unwanted sexual contact or penetration or non-contact acts such as sexual harassment. Emotional or psychological. This refers to verbal or nonverbal behaviors that inflict anguish, mental pain, fear, or distress on an older adult. Examples include name-calling, humiliating, destroying property, or not letting the older adult see their friends and family. Neglect. This is the failure to meet an older adult's most basic needs. These needs include food, water, shelter, clothing, hygiene, and essential medical care. And finally, we have financial. Financial abuse is legally or improperly using an elder's money, benefits, belongings, property, or assets for the benefit of someone other than the older adult. Examples include taking money from an older adult's account without proper authority, unauthorized credit card use, and changing a will without permission. I recently cared for an older patient who was scammed via an internet dating site. The patient was told stories by the scammer in order to gain her trust and her sympathy. Shortly after this connection was established, this patient's children found out that the patient had been sending the scammer personal checks for large amounts of money. Elderly abuse is a common issue within healthcare, and unfortunately, it is a commonly overlooked issue as well. Healthcare professionals are many times the first line of defense in elderly abuse, often being the first to detect it, but they can also be guilty of abusing elderly people themselves. Abuse, neglect, and exploitation have serious physical and mental health effects that necessitate both treatment and, more importantly, prevention strategies. Practitioners and researchers have been exploring methods for identifying and preventing abuse in older and disabled adults, including lessons learned from child abuse and domestic violence. Every year, hundreds of thousands of adults over the age of 65 are neglected, abused, and/or exploited by family members and others. The CDC recognizes elder abuse as an epidemic and a major public health issue because of the associated pain, suffering, and the diminished quality of life. The personal costs of elder abuse are catastrophic and include loss of independence, health, security, and dignity. Unfortunately, the problem of elder abuse is likely to get worse as the percentage of older adults increases. As many as 5 million older adults are abused in the U.S. annually, and approximately 85% of these cases are never reported. Most elder abuse victims are female, and about 40% are over the age of 80. Although the vast majority of elder abuse occurs in homes, it can also take place in extended care facilities and assisted living facilities. Elder abuse statistics. 1 in 10 elders is abused or neglected by caretakers. 90% of elderly abusers are family members or at-home caregivers. And for every 1 case of elder abuse known to authorities, 24 cases were unknown. Certain people in certain situations can be at higher risks for committing elder abuse. It is important to note that just because a factor or factors relate to a person or group of people does not necessarily mean that they will be an abuser. These factors include recreational drug use and alcohol consumption, especially in excess, stress and the inability to cope. This could be the stress of simply working in healthcare, for example, minimal emotional support from friends and family, dependence upon the elder. This can be emotional dependence or monetary dependence, lack of proper training and geriatric care, which could be due to simply being a new hire. And last is psychological issues. The vast majority of elder abuse victims remain hidden from formal institutional response systems. Despite the fact that a vast literature exists on the quality of care in institutional settings, and that cases of elder abuse have been well documented in reports of governmental inquiries, ethnographic studies, and personal histories, there are no national data on the prevalence or incidence of abuse available, but only local data from smaller scale studies. A survey of nursing home personnel in one state of the U.S. disclosed that 36% of the nursing and general staff reported having witnessed at least 1 incident of physical abuse by another staff members in the preceding year, while 10% admitting having committed at least 1 act of physical abuse themselves. At least 1 incident of psychological abuse against a resident had been observed by 81% of the sample in the preceding year, and 40% admitted to also having committed such an act. The findings suggest that mistreatment of older residents in institutions may have been even more extensive than originally believed. We are also seeing a huge rise in exploitation of older adults due to the misuse of social media. And this is evidenced by the countless headlines we see in the news using Snapchat, Instagram, and Facebook. Prevention and timely detection are both key here. Educate yourself on the facility's policy for reporting. Also, learn about agencies and organizations that can assist in these types of situations.